I think we start recording. So hello everyone. Welcome to the September Kubewarden community call. I'm your host today. So let's get started because we have some requirement time restrictions. So today we have a little bit different schedule because we will talk about a patch release for the stable version before the release because Fabio has other appointments, but first topic is the patch release for our 1.16 stable release. So Flavio, go ahead.
Yeah, it's my fault. Sorry, I have to drop in like 10 minutes. And so thanks for having moved all my topics in the front. So the first thing I want to talk about is we did the patch release of policy server in kwctl in the last weeks. So it's both version are 1.6.1. The reason for doing that was a change that happened inside of the Sigstore TAF repository. So Sigstore is the project, the technology that we are using to verify container image signatures, the provenance, and the integrity. The way that that Sigstore works is by using a source of truth about the signatures and such, which is distributed using the TAF protocol, which stands for the update framework. What matters is that there was a change happening inside of this component of a Sigstore project that resulted in kwctl in policy server not being able to verify certain types of images. But I'm proud to say that we were able to fix that, and it only lasted for some hours, mostly because we are also maintainers inside of this project, and we were working proactively to avoid that. But somehow it still happened. It got us, it happened ahead of time. And yeah, everything is fixed, however. And if you are installing, the Kubewarden stack using Helm, which is our recommended way, we of course pushed out a new version of a Helm chart that is going to bump the default policy server. That is the image version of the default policy server. So if you just upgrade to the latest Helm chart, you will find yourself well covered. Everything is going to be working fine.
So thank you for work on that. Next topic is Rancher Academy course. For those who don't know, Rancher Academy has some courses around mostly tech cloud native technology and is open for everyone. And Flavio has a participation in one of the courses, so please go ahead again.
Yeah, sure. So Rancher Academy has many topics that are covered by it. There are a series of episodes that are specific about Kubewarden. So I encourage you to go and browse the Rancher Academy, which is free to everybody, and just check these contents out. During the month of August, there was a series of events that was focused on WebAssembly. I think it's 5 episodes. Each episode has its own theme, and I was honored to be, a guest of the 4th episode. We put the link to this Rancher Academy series inside of the meeting notes, so you can go and visit that. And so this episode basically covers what has been our experience with WebAssembly. So as you know, Kubewarden uses WebAssembly to write the policies. And we started doing that back in the time where WebAssembly on the server side was really an emerging topic. So we were really bleeding edge, and that posed some challenges to us. And so this is also something that can be interesting to someone who wants to maybe become more custom with internals of Kubewarden. How it could then contribute in terms of code, or generally speaking, gives you a better understanding of how everything works, the magic behind our universal policy framework. And there is also some forward-looking section inside of it. So the WebAssembly space is moving fast. There have been a lot of changes, and so I also touched some changes that we might grab from the whole WebAssembly ecosystem and put into Kubewarden, because as I said, we started working on that some times ago when certain things didn't even exist. So that's it.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you. Still around Rancher news, for those who don't know, Rancher has an application collection, which is basically a curated, up-to-date collection of applications packaged and tested by Rancher. And they recently released a new documentation page explaining how you can use Kubewarden to ensure that every container image from their collection is signed by their key. So you can find the link in our community call notes, and see how to configure the policy server and especially the verify container image policy to ensure that you are using the right container image, not third-party ones by accidentally. So that's release it, and if you make use of that, enjoy and make your cluster even more secure. And moving on for 116, which is our monthly August release, we still keeping are still keeping our monthly release cadence, and this is a light release. Most of the reason is because it's um, summer/vacation in North Hemisphere, so a bunch of our team members are out of office during this period, but we continue to our schedule, and we have most of our changes are related to maintenance updates. The biggest change there is a new subcommand for kwctl scaffold, which is the admission request subcommand, which allows users now to craft admission reviews using kwctl and then further use in a run command, for instance, to test your policy. So now you can use this command to and pass a new flag in a flag a file of the resource that you want to put it inside in the admission request created by the kwctl. The only things that needs to be keep in mind is that this command requires, the first time that you run, it requires access for some Kubernetes clusters for two reasons. One, to get the plural names of the resources, and to know if it is a namespace or not. So after that, the cache is populated and there is no need for keep a cluster running all the time. If there is a cluster, you will update the cache, but it's not a must-have for future runs, let's say. But that's the biggest change in some of our components. Beyond that, we have some maintenance updates, which the two major ones is we update controller runtime and the Docker. Bye-bye, Flavio. And we update controller runtime and the Docker library for the latest versions. The Docker one is important one because there is a CVE which is fixed in that version. We don't use Docker in runtime for the controller. We just use it in the testing because we use test containers, but we decide to update anyway to ensure that nothing is unsecure there. So it's the measure to updates, dependency updates, and others little updates as well, but it's not worth to mention here right now. And other updates that we actually have a fix in one of our policies, which is the container resource one. In this policy, users can mutate resources when, for instance, the limits are missing. But that can lead the user in a scenario where the resulted mutation has limits which is less than the requested resource set by the user. So if that happens, Kubernetes complains about that and don't deploy the resources. So the policy now before returning a response checks if the limit is less than requested resources. If it is, fine, move on. Otherwise, it will reject the resource and ask the user to or update the requested resources or update the policies configuration. So that's the fix, and we also bump some dependencies on that policy as well before bumping a new release. Still talking about policies, but not directed to 116 release. We update also the Cel-policy recently, like we released it this version this morning. which is in this policy, we have some 30 files. We use files from Kubernetes code base, so we have some files copied that to make the Cel-policy work. And we added an automation to automatically update these files when a new version of Kubernetes is released. So this new version, which is 1.2, already have the latest versions of the Kubernetes files. And we also, as we do for other Kubernetes Go repositories, Kubewarden Go repositories, we update the Golang linter configuration to be more strict, and it's already running as well in the policy. And the last change in that policy was now as VAPs does, our variables in the cell code is lazy evaluated, so it's not evaluated upfront. So that's the major changes. I don't know, do you want to say something around that, around the variables, Fabrizio? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that since we are not using the Kubernetes basically cell compiler environment, and the reason is otherwise the policy will just be bigger and size and cannot be compiled in WebAssembly. We decided like to basically replicate the behavior of Kubernetes and writing our code that emulates the Kubernetes engine. And yeah, one thing we missed was the lazy variable. So basically, variables were interpolated or evaluated up front, and this means that if you don't mention the variable in your expression, that means that you're basically like wasting resources. So we decided we spotted the problem, and then we decided like to fix it. So now variables are evaluated only if they are used in the expressions or in the message expressions.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, so that's all what we have for today. As always, stay tuned for the next release, which will win 17, which we are finalizing right now. So it will contain a lot of big changes. It's a quite opposite size of the 116, so stay tuned for that. And as always, if you want to talk with us, just ping on the Kubernetes Slack in the Kubewarden or Kubewarden Dev channel, and we are there to help. So if you guys don't have anything else, I will just stop recording. No? Okay. Thank you, and see you around. Bye-bye.